Okay, what do you do when a sales statistic slumps? All right, so if you're in your organization and your sales team's numbers drop, if you have a few good weeks and your numbers drop, something changed. All right, and it happens. The change happens typically with individuals within the group. Okay, if you don't have a lot of salespeople week to week, what's going to happen is those slumps are going to be more drastic percentage-wise because you're going to have less people selling, right? So you're going to have your rock stars that are consistently producing a lot. Then you're going to have your middle group that has decent weeks, and then some weeks may be great and some weeks may be slow. Then you're going to have the lower end producers where they're typically slow. Sometimes they have those rock star weeks. So you mainly want to look at the consistent people. Say, okay, what are the consistent people statistic? Who dropped on one of those? Because as long as they're producing, our numbers should at least have a baseline, right? Now you want to isolate whose statistics dropped significantly from the last week to this week or the last couple weeks to that week where the drop happened. Now the natural reflex is to implement a new program. Example, right? You find a sales rep and he's had a few solid weeks, all of a sudden something crashes. You want to help the guy and you're confused why he's not doing so well. So naturally you're like, hey, let's do this. Let's set up this schedule. Let's change something. Let's do something new, and let's improve something, and let's create a new system for you that, like a new schedule, right? Okay, we're gonna work this way, or we're gonna start doing something this way. You want to implement something new. It's a natural reflex, right? Okay, issue. Let's create a solution for it. It makes sense. But that's a mistake. Now, what you should really be doing is looking back at the last few weeks when he was having a good week, or she was having a good week, and compared to now, and then see what was left out. All right, now there's some questions that you're going to want to ask this person. Do not do this over a text message or an email. You have to reach out to this person personally, set up a one-on-one with them, a Zoom call, have them in the office with you if they're close by, something. You got to touch them personally. Don't actually touch them, that could be weird, but you want to make sure that you're getting the direct contact with them. Okay, so some questions you may want to ask, right? Hey, was this person on an exercise routine? Did they change it? Did they stop exercising at a certain time of the day? Maybe Jimmy was working out early in the morning and then he's like, you know what, I'm going to switch to the afternoon. He's taking his pre-workout at 7 p.m. He's not getting a good night's sleep. It's causing him to not be as focused during the day. Did he change something with an exercise routine? Did he change his diet? That's a big one, right? Maybe someone was eating a certain thing for lunch, or maybe they weren't eating lunch at all. They were doing like intermittent fasting, and all of a sudden now they've been eating these monster lunches the past few days, or last week, caused a crash. Has he made any changes to his other changes to his daily schedule? So hey, what were you doing those few weeks that you were consistent? Let's take a look, let's break it down. And then what did you do last week? Were there any changes in that? So first you want to look at scheduling changes. Have you made any scheduling changes? And make sure they're not making excuses either, right? Make sure that there's not like something that's definitely a solution, because people will throw up excuses to make you feel bad for them. All an excuse is it's an effort to prove you wrong, all right? Did he stop doing something in his sales presentation that he was doing before? Okay, so this is the most common thing from someone who's consistent and level-headed. They just stop doing something. They're skipping steps. So what you would do is listen to calls that they make from the last few weeks. Are they as enthusiastic? Are they leaving out a part of their sales process? Are they asking the same questions? Are they being as persistent in the close? Are they following up the same? Are they giving up on follow-up? Right? So see if listen to some calls with them, or review some sales from the last few weeks before. And if they're not selling on the phone, or they're selling face-to-face, review the sales process. Say, hey, what changed? And have them make sure they're honest. Because people aren't going to want to tell you that they messed up, right? People don't want to be wrong. So you really got to dig in and help them figure that out. Does he have something personal going on in his life that's distracting him? Right? Maybe maybe him and his wife or girlfriend or fiance got in a fight, right? Maybe something happened with the parents, a loved one. Maybe they got a loved one telling them they're working too hard, or that what they're doing is sales, right? Maybe they got someone suppressing their efforts because that person's threatened by them doing really well. That happens all the time. I've seen it happen more with women in a relationship than men, right? The girl comes in, she starts crushing it. Her man says, oh, you're working too hard, because he's intimidated because he's an insecure person, and now this woman's making more money than him. Some guys like to have that power, right? So that's one thing to look for. Is anything changed in the relationship? All right. Does he no longer feel sold on the product? Hey, man, do we sell a good product? Yeah. Does it help people? Yeah. Do I help you when I can? Yes. Are you a good person? Yes. Is this a good company? Yes. Who don't you like here? What don't you like about me? What don't you like about the product? What don't you like about the product compared to a competitor? Which of our competitors do you think is better? Right? What don't you like about yourself? Have you done anything in the last week that's unethical? In the last couple weeks, have you done anything that's unethical? Have you hurt someone? Did you hit a friend? Did you hit a woman? Did you hit a man? Did you get in an argument with your parents and say something that you didn't want? Did you get in an argument with your spouse and you said something you didn't want? Did you cheat on your spouse? Did you lie to someone? Right? Did you commit a crime that's eating you up? What did you do? Did you lie to a client? Did you tell a client, oh yeah, this is a certain program and it wasn't. You lied to get the sale. Did you lie to someone in management? This is going to be hard to get someone to admit to, but they may be offended by some of these questions, but let them know, look, this is just for me to help you. Because I know if I've ever had those things happen to me, if I did one of those things, then it would definitely impact my workday, because that just carries over. Unethical things are like an umbrella, and they carry over through the rest of your life. Guy lies to a client, then it's okay to lie to his spouse, then it's okay to lie to me. Next thing you know, he's living a lie. Right? And he has to keep that facade up. So make sure you nip that in the bud. Is there some malfunction maybe with the program or software that they're using? Maybe it's something as simple as that. Oh, dude, your system's broke. Let's get this working again. Maybe a machine that he has to use for sales, or the software or the technology. Is someone at home telling him he's working too hard? You should take it easy. And we kind of covered that before. We did cover that before. But that's one. Someone suppressing them. I get that. Oh, look, man, my wife's telling me I'm working too hard. Yeah, well, you know what? Like, you're going to let your wife ruin your dreams and goals? Because you're working towards it, right? Your wife ain't going to be complaining in 20 years when you guys are retired on the beach, right? So you got to get on the same page with your spouse in that situation. Is someone making excuses? Is that person making excuses and hiding something? So if someone's making excuses, there's usually something they're hiding. They don't want to tell you. Oh yeah, this happened. No, you were doing this. This is what happened, right? But you want to help them figure it out for themselves. You got to ask the questions. Okay, so remember, you have to do this in a personal touch, in a personal meeting with them, with someone who's consistent, whose stat goes down. You're going to notice that when your team stat drops. Right? Or when you track these people's stats week to week. There are a bunch of questions that you're going to ask yourself and the agent to isolate what it is. Something changed. Something was working. The machine was cranking. A gear was removed. What gear was removed? Gear broke. Like they took a gear out. Something happened. Several good performances and a bad one. There's no such thing as a bad week. There's a bad performance though. Right? So you can have bad performances. You can't have a bad week. Oh, it was just a bad week. No, it was a bad performance. What changed about your performance? It's like if Tom Brady started throwing with his other arm, right? It would be a terrible performance. The guy ain't gonna change anything, right? He's a machine. He's like 50 years old. He's still crushing it. So solution for them. This is what you want to provide to them. The sales rep with statistics down. Bypass normal habits. Get down and dirty in work mode. Put in overtime. Focus on the basics that work. Get in extra grind mode on what worked. Reset. Look, dude, you did this. The basics worked for you. Something changed. Let's get back to it. Let's get back on your exercise routine. Let's get back on your eating schedule. Dude, I don't care if you had a Big Mac every lunch when you were doing great. Do it again. We'll put you on cholesterol medication. Right? Make sure that you go back to what worked. And then once you figure out what was changed, you'll find it. You will find what changed, either mentally or physically. Create a solution so that it never happens again. find out what changed, create a solution so it never happens again. The salesperson is going to have to use personal control to handle these situations sometimes and make sure it never happens again. But you got to let that person know, look, you want to be successful. Yes? You'll do whatever it takes. Everybody says that. I'll do whatever it takes, except make phone calls. So you do whatever it takes. This is all you got to do. Change this. Be consistent with it. Check in with me every day. Make sure that you're doing that. Help them recognize that the situation was real, and that's what caused the change. Help them be able to recognize when it's going to happen again. Okay, and then create a firm policy to make sure the bad stuff's removed and the good stuff that worked is brought in. Okay, look, we're going to change this. We're going to re-implement this. It's not going to change anymore. Okay, because if it does, your production's going to go down. Your morale's going to go down. You may not feel as sold. Production heavily rests on morale. That's how you handle a drop in a sales stat with an agent or your team, because your team is made up of individuals, so you want to isolate which individuals had that drop.